What's up peeps, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, please consider subscribing. Welcome back if you're already subscribed. Here's my little video on a chair upholstery project. Here's my lovely chair. Not looking so lovely anymore. Time to do something about that. We've got a staple gun and scissors. We're also going to be needing a needle and thread. And if you've got a chair with exposed bits, then I'd suggest buying some upholstery tacks. Nice and easy, you can get them anywhere. Right, well here's my chair, it's all ready. I've cut all the pieces to size. I've left a little bit overlapping just so I can get it round and staple it into place. Consider hemming your material if you want it to look nice and neat on the turned up edges. So we've got our first two pieces for the arms. We've got our back bit, obviously overlapping underneath as well. And you need to consider how it's going to meet the other piece. So that's got to be longer as well. And then we've got the bottom piece. Yes, I think I better urgently cover this. I've had this chair for 30 years. I actually found it in a skip. It was brand new. I was a kid back then. Me and my mum have been passing it back and forth to each other. And it's time to give it a facelift. I've started with the bottom piece. Basically just stapling the four sides first so that you've got enough material on both sides and it's quite even. This material is a little bit elasticated, which helps. So you've got to make sure you've got the right amount of stretch so that you're not ruining the pattern on the front if you're pulling it too hard. Also, remembering that staple guns aren't the strongest things. You don't want to have the material too taut. So I'm not worried about the hemming or anything like that. I might in the future just use some satin or silk ribbon. Just glue that along the edges so that it looks a little bit neater. This is the bottom, almost done now. This chair's got removable bits and non-removable bits, so with past experience I found that it didn't go very well trying to remove it. That's why I'm doing it the easy way now, and I'm not too bothered about the mess either. But you get the general gist of it. I'm just folding the material, tucking it into the nooks and crannies and making it look as neat as possible. Also we need to gather the materials in certain areas to cover the corners and stuff, just making sure that our pleats are neat enough, or our gathering's neat enough, and that you haven't got too much material in one area only, because that's going to be really hard to staple down. Just a little tip with stapling, I always get my material into place first and then decide where I'm cutting it and then staple it. Or if you're stapling it before you cut it, always leave a little edge so that you can get the scissors in to cut it accurately. You can always go back and sew the bits into place that you've stapled, like underneath this chair here where someone might touch the chair to move it. You don't want anyone hurting themselves with sharp staples, or just make sure they're in properly. But sewing is always an option after stapling because it makes things a hell of a lot easier. So don't worry if you don't have enough fabric. Like here, I need to cut out a little triangle piece separately. I can either sew that on or staple that on, depending on how much overlap I have left on here. It looks like the overlap's enough. So you can always add bits of material if you can't get it done in one. Don't worry about that, don't panic. So here we go, we're just adding that piece on here. Because it's patterned, it's not a problem, but if it was plain, it certainly wouldn't be a problem. Because it all kind of merges in the end anyway, so you don't need to panic about it, and it looks perfectly fine. You can always sew this in, like I said. I've just stapled it, it's the bottom of the chair, no one's going to see it. I'm going to get on with sewing the sides now. So what we're going to do is make a bit of a hem as we're sewing it. This is the lazy worker's way, or the practical worker's way, and it will work just as effectively. So I'm going to hem it while I sew it, and I'll just show you how I do that. I basically fold over the left side of the material to create a hem, and then I just stitch it. It's as easy as that. What we're working on is showing as little stitching as possible on the top, so that's why I'm going in through the top of the hem and then going back out through the bottom and trying to keep any long bits of string underneath as much as you can. You can go over it and sew it again, make it neater if you need to. So this is just us getting this sewn up now, but it's working out really well. There's a little bit of puckering, but I'm not worried about that. If you are, you could always iron it before you do this bit. If you're not great at sewing, you can always use some hemming tape, which you will put directly onto the right side, hem the left side and just iron it straight on. And this is our finished product. I'm very happy with this. Lovely jubbly. Literally took me 30 to 40 minutes to do this. How easy was that? Well, that's the project, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you find it useful. Go and upholster that chair. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.